Alright, so it's time to talk about the squats again, and this video is especially out there for you, people with very long femurs and very short torso. And we are talking about you having a lot of difficulties trying to stabilize yourself at the bottom of the squat. Hi guys, my name is Clinton from Technique Matters, and today what we're going to pay attention to about the squats is how do I create more stability at the bottom, especially with those with very long femurs and short torso. And in fact, other less experienced people squatting the low bar will face this issue as well. So what's going on is that people assume and they like to keep themselves upright because they feel that it's much safer that way. So when you're too upright and then you start to go down into a squat, what will happen? The bar will normally travel forward, and then you start to lose the balance, and then your hips will be very tight at the bottom, which will result in your heels coming off at the bottom of the squat. So when that happens, the weight has shifted to the toes, and then when you come back up, you have to literally bring the hips back to create stability and lift the weights up. So you have wasted so much energy trying to do that. The reason being because you guys are too afraid to sit back or lean forward. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is, in a low bar squat, right, it is required. It is part of the mechanics that you have to hinge and create a good lean torso angle for everyone. Let me tell you why this video is especially for those demon spiders with long femur and short torso. Because with that amount of short torso, right, it is required for you guys to have a slightly more forward lean torso, so that intimidates you a lot. But actually, those position, that lean torso angle should be appropriate for you, provided you understand the mechanics of it. So now JJ is going to explain to you why are you not creating that stability at the bottom and how do we fix that. Let's go.
This is JJ from Technique Matters. Today we're going to talk about the two common scenarios that we see that are causing you some issues in terms of stability at the bottom of the squat. So with a low bar squat, I think a common misconception that people have is that they want to squat it like the high bar. And then the second misconception is they will also overly hinge the low bar squat. So I have Clinton here to help me, and I'm going to just help him to sort of correct his position, and we'll show you what we suggest that you do moving forward. The first common issue that we have, where we see, is obviously being too upright. So Clinton, I just want you to set up under the bar, and what we're going to see is the very common misconception is, so I want you to look straight ahead, right, and then squeeze your glutes. All right, so you can see that if Haley films from the side, you can see that the weight is already like behind him. So as he comes down, if he wants to maintain his balance and not fall backwards, he will have to eventually fold over. All right, so yeah. Okay, so this is the fault number one. So fault number two is obviously the one where people get kind of confused with, because they see some high-level lifters tend to do it. It's not necessarily wrong, but it might not be the most appropriate for you. All right, so the second fault is you want to start with a hinge first. So then you see that if you look at the side, the bar is already kind of forward over his toes already. And then you see this issue where his knees are actually behind his heels. So what this actually stops you from having is people in this position, they will complain about, oh, I don't have enough ankle dorsiflexion, and then they'll go stretch their ankles and stuff like that, right? But it is a balance problem. So if you squat like that, so you can see that he has to initiate with his knees forward, because he needs to keep the weight over his midfoot, and then his heels will lift up. All right, then again, as he comes up, the weight has to go back onto the midfoot, and it's just very messy squat, so you can rack the bar. So one of the ways that we suggest you deal with this is actually a really simple cue that you can use, and I think it's nothing fancy, but it's something that you can definitely practice, and you can do it with every single rep regardless of the weight. All right, so what we're going to do is have Clinton set up, and as he is upright, what you're going to see is he's just going to make very small slight adjustments to his feet pressure. So if you kind of look from the side, Clinton is just rocking back and forth. So he's rocking back and then he's rocking forward. So what you want to do with this drill actually is to make sure that as you are rocking back and forth, you find a really good position where you can feel that the weight is over your midfoot, and midfoot should be just where around where your last shoelace is, or your top shoelace is. And then once he's established that position, he should be in a good amount of forward lean, as well as his hips are nicely over his ankles, the bar is nicely over his midfoot, and then he just squats from this position. So then it generally will be a really, really good position in terms of distribution between the hips and the quads. All right. So if you're having problems with finding midfoot or knowing the right amount of hinge and the right amount of load to place on your quads, try this drill out. Okay. And the point that we want to finish on, and something that we want to remind you about, is once you've found that midfoot pressure, don't try to hinge anymore. Don't try to push your knees forward anymore. Just think about letting the bar naturally get pulled to your midfoot position. So you want to just move up and down, kind of like imagine the barbell is in an elevator shaft and it's not allowed to move forward or backward. It's just allowed to move up and down. All right. So if you found this kind of video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to spread the word. And if you have any other questions, put it in the comment section, or you can DM us. So yeah, we'll see you next week.